Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be starting with the discussion of the chapter Indigo written by Louis Fisher. So the author Louis Fisher was an American journalist. Among his works were a contribution to the ex-communist treatise The God That Failed and A Life of Mahatma Gandhi, which was the basis for the Academy Award-winning film Gandhi, as well as A Life of Lenin, which won the 1965 National Book Award in History and Biography. So moving on to the theme of this chapter, Indigo. So this chapter, it basically talks about the oppression of the British rule and its effects on the peasantry. Its effect on the lowest class of the society, and how our father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi how he tackled this situation, and how humble he was to go and see the situation on the call of a peasant, although it was his duty and it was his call, but it tells us what principles made him what he is considered in today's world. The principles of discipline, the principles of discretion, the principles of practicality, all of these principles will be associated with Mahatma Gandhi once we read this chapter. So this chapter starts with Gandhi telling us that basically telling the author that how he had planned the departure of British from his country in 1916 itself, and he knew that he would make that happen because of his meeting with Rajkumar Shukla, who was a peasant from Bihar. Now, Rajkumar Shukla was among all the peasants in Bihar who were suffering this landlord system in Bihar. Under this system, they had to grow. Under this system, they had to grow indigo on the specific part of their land, on a predetermined part of their land, and this yield, all of the indigo that was procured out of this land was to be given to the Britishers. So the tenants, that were basically the peasants, they were to grow indigo on 15% of their land, and this crop, when it was fully ready, when it was ready to harvest, it was to be given to the British landlords as rent. So this was a very problematic system for all the peasantry class in Bihar and all over India. So this was the problem that was a major one for people like Rajkumar Shukla, and the fact that he couldn't do with it anymore, he went to an influential person like Gandhi. So when Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhi, he was in the Lucknow convention of Indian National Congress, which was held in December 1916. When he met Rajkumar Shukla there, he couldn't go there with him first because he had some prior engagements. But Gandhi promised him that whenever you meet me next, I will go on with you. Wherever you want me to take, you can take me. But Rajkumar Shukla knew that because of Gandhi's prior engagements, he would probably forget about him, and let's not talk about going to Bihar with him. So because of this fact, Rajkumar Shukla went behind Gandhi everywhere. From Lucknow, Gandhi went to many other places. Gandhi went to 3 or 4 more Indian cities, and Rajkumar Shukla went behind him. So now the fact that Rajkumar Shukla went behind Gandhi in every state he had prior engagements in, this impressed Gandhi. So when he saw Rajkumar Shukla at one of the meetings he was attending, so he agreed to go with Rajkumar Shukla for his next engagement. So the duo reached Patna. Both of them reached Patna, and they stayed for one night at the house of Rajendra Prasad. So Rajendra Prasad, who later was to become the president of Free India, Independent India, he was an influential personality then also. So the servants of Rajendra Prasad knew that peasants like Rajkumar Shukla and specifically Shukla, they pestered their master for their work. So first of all, they gave them all types of glances, and Gandhi was also treated as one of the untouchables because of his simple appearance, and he was only wearing a white dhoti and carrying a stick. So they categorized him as a normal peasant, and that too untouchable. So this was an incident that tells us that how deep rooted this caste system was in India back then. Although it has its effect has lessened now, we can't say that it has been totally eradicated. So now both of them were on their way to Champaran, and in between they went to Muzaffarpur. In Muzaffarpur, they were received by Professor Kripalani. So when they were received by Professor Kripalani had many students with him when he received Gandhi and Shukla at the station, and both of them stayed at Kripalani's for 2 days. So, at this incident, Gandhi remarked that it was difficult for people like Kripalani to keep him at his place because of the fact that the villagers were not the villagers had a notion that they would not show sympathy to supporters of home rule at that time because they were because of the many reasons. One of them being fear of British authorities. So it was not, common that people like Kripalani, who were government teachers, government school teacher, so it was unusual for them to show sympathy for people like Mahatma Gandhi. So when they reached Muzaffarpur, they both of them were full of hope that they would get solution for their problems. Now we go on to talk about the plantation agreement. So this agreement became more problematic because the Britishers now came to know that Germany is producing synthetic indigo. They wanted to get rid of this agreement with the peasants because they came to know that the German country is now producing synthetic indigo, and now if they go on procuring this natural indigo from the peasants, they would not be able to make profits. So the fact of maximizing their profit made them made them further oppress the peasants, and they told them, and they procured, they put forward an argument that we are freeing you from this agreement, and you have to pay us more for this, act of sympathy. So this agreement became more problematic due to this cunning move played by Britishers. Some of the peasants even signed signed to this agreement of giving more money to Britishers in return of freeing the peasants from this agreement, because obviously they were not literate and they were not aware of the cunning motive behind this. So they did not know of the synthetic indigo yet. So slowly and slowly when this news spread across the country and spread across Bihar especially, the peasants were really angered that they came to know that they were being exploited. So when the situation came at this level, that is why people like Shukla went to Gandhi and asked for a solution. So now when Gandhi arrived in Muzaffarpur, he tried to analyze the situation by talking to the lawyers there, because he wanted to analyze the seriousness of the situation. He talked to the lawyers there. When he talked to the lawyers, he came to know that they were the ones representing the case of the peasants. And from the encounters with more of the peasants and with more of the lawyers, he came to know that they were charging a very high amount of fees from the peasants, which was entirely wrong, because firstly they were facing so much of suppression from Britishers, and now they were to pay such a high fees for their own representation to the lawyers. So obviously Gandhiji scolded them, and told them that you are doing this, you are doing so wrong, and how can illiterate people like them expect justice if you are there to carry out such practices. So he then resolved to free the people of Champaran from their fear, because he knew that अगर ये lawyers के पीछे ये लोग चलते हैं, अगर ये इस पाथ पे चलते हैं कि इस अग्रीमेंट की कुछ सोल्यूशन जो है लॉयर्स के थ्रू निकाली जाए, तो वो नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी इतना ही कॉम्प्लिकेटेड प्रोसेस है और ऑलरेडी इतना टाइम लगेगा, इतने रिसोर्सेज लगेंगे और इतने ग्रीडी हैं ये सब, तो और इसमें जाने का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है, बिकॉज ही न्यू दैट even if I hand them legal justice, they would not be freed from their fear of British authorities. So now when Gandhiji arrived in Champaran from Muzaffarpur, so he asked the Secretary of British Landlords Association for all the details on this case. But obviously Britishers being Britishers, they refused Gandhiji on the ground that he was an outsider. He didn't belong to Champaran, he wasn't a peasant, so no right to ask anything in this regard. So but Gandhiji claimed that he was not an outsider. This was his country, and he has the power to ask anything he want and to gather any information he wanted. But it was of no use. So he then tried to contact the administrative officials of Tirhut, who also declined any help, and they threatened him that he should leave the town at once. But instead of complying to their threats, Gandhi went to Motihari along with several other prominent Indian lawyers. So when they reached Motihari, they were greeted by a large number of peasants, because they had heard that some Mahatma has came to help us, some Mahatma has came to uplift us out of our situation. And upon reaching Motihari, Gandhiji began a full-fledged investigations, because he wanted to understand this case more deeply. He wanted to understand the system of exploitation done on the farmers. So during one of his visits to an affected farmer, he was stopped on his way. उन्हें रोक लिया गया और उन्हें बोला गया कि आप यहाँ से वापस चले जाइए. You drive back to town. And also an official notice was also served to him to leave Champaran at once. But Gandhi, being the man of his words, he told that no, he signed the summon, he signed the official notice, but also put a remark that he would defy. He would not go to Champaran, that he is abiding that he's got official notice, but he would not go to Champaran because the law of self-conscious is more important than this law and order, this fake law and order that the British government is propagating all over India. So subsequently, this act of defiance was not tasteful for the British authorities. Gandhi was summoned to appear in the court next day, and he stayed awake the whole night. He stayed awake the previous night, and he prepared all the agreements that he had to present in the court the next day, and he also called upon many influential people like Rajendra Prasad, and made a telegram to them to come and help him, and because he needed some influential people at that time. So all of this happened, and when Gandhi was to reach the trial, when Gandhi was to reach the court, huge number of peasants greeted him there. They were protesting against the arrest of Gandhi and the fact that he was summoned to appear in the court. So the protesters were out of control of the British authorities. They ultimately had to ask for Gandhiji's help, and Gandhi was humble, and he made the peasants settle down. And now obviously the court proceeding was delayed, and the judgment was withheld for a few days, but Gandhi was allowed to stay free. Gandhi was allowed to roam free around. But now the lawyers who had came for the trial for Gandhiji, the lawyers who had came to help Gandhiji, they had no choice but to return back, because now they knew that Gandhi would be arrested. Yeah, once the things cooled down, Gandhi would be arrested, and they thought that we should return. But they decided to court arrest as per Gandhiji's wish. They decided to fight for Gandhi because of all the injustice done to the sharecroppers. This marked the beginning of the victory of the Battle of Champaran. This marked the victory of this battle because the fact that the lawyers decided to stay back and help Gandhi, who was an utter stranger, who was ready to go to prison for these people. Now, this principle of civil disobedience proved to be successful, and also the Lieutenant Governor dropped the case against Gandhiji. However, Gandhiji didn't leave Champaran just because now he was free of all the court trials. Now he wanted to inquire further into all the suppressions faced by the farmers. So around 10,000 testimonies were recorded. Around 10,000 peasants wrote all the grievances that they had faced to Gandhiji. So this meant that there was something wrong. There was something utterly wrong happening with these peasants. Now Gandhiji was again summoned by the Lieutenant Governor, because civil disobedience launched by Gandhiji had set the stage for greater trouble, because now the fact that the peasants were slowly getting in favor of Gandhiji, this wasn't a very good sign for the propaganda set up by the Britishers. So seeing this, finally a commission of inquiry was appointed in which Gandhiji was to represent the peasants. Now the British landlords were left with no choice, as now an official inquiry was set up, and they agreed to refund the money. Now, the Britishers were so cunning that now also they set up a deadlock of refunding 50% of the amount to the peasants. They knew that if they would create a deadlock, Gandhi would not agree to it, and he would go back, and once again their suppression would continue. So, but to their surprise, Gandhiji agreed to a refund of 25% of the original amount, because agreeing to this amount of 25%, it was a sign that they would not surrender to Britishers. It was a sign that they were self-reliant. Gandhiji did not stop at this political victory. He further worked into uplifting the people of Champaran socially and economically. He set up many schools, he set up many primary schools, he set up many health centers, and his wife and his son worked at length for these people. And his stay for a few days in Champaran turned out to be a stay of more than a year. So it tells us that Gandhiji's unconventional ways of working, unconventional ways of politics became helpful in these common men's problem. It tells us that how his working style helped lakhs and lakhs of people, and because of his working style, because of his resilience, because of his determination, India is a free nation. Not because of him, but because of many people together, many great personalities like him, India is today a free nation. That's all. Thank you and have a